I'd like to bring this meeting of the Tourist Development Council to order, please, and let the record reflect it's December 20th, and this is our Christmas party day, right?
Correct.
Okay, so without further ado, I know, where is Stacy? Shall we take the roll, Stacy, or you've already done that? We're good with a quorum? I have a quorum. Very good. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes of November 15th?
Make the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now we are on public comments. I would like to make an introduction, if I may. You might notice that we don't have Michael Zoss here to my left this morning. We have Amanda Coffey from our county attorney's office, who has been appointed to be our ongoing attorney for the good of the Tourist Development Council. And so I'd like to offer her a couple of minutes to introduce herself, if you would like.
Thank you
Good
very
morning.
much. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Some of you know me. I've been acting as second chair, so to speak, for Michael Zoss for the last few years for this council, but I'm very excited to be stepping into his shoes and look forward to representing you. I am a managing assistant county attorney. I've been with the county for 20 years, and I've been with the county attorney's office for 10. So, I know my way around the campus a little bit. If you need anything, please let me know. Thank you.
And I promise they won't be shy.
Welcome.
Anyone else? No? Okay, Brian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to call up Eddie Kirch to give an update on our destination metrics for the preceding month.
All right, well, good morning and happy holidays for everyone. So the destination metrics this month kind of has a one message story, if you will, but I did want to share that we'll start to be utilizing our new data dashboard, Symphony, to present some of the data to you guys. So this will have kind of a new look and feel. We'll be mixing and matching different sources of information, and we'll also be including some different department metrics that we have access to through this dashboard. But this is an overview of the STR data that we're receiving. And as you can see, in the month of October, it was significantly down from where we were last year. This is a result of Hurricane Ian from last year, kind of being an anomaly in the amount of volume that we saw. If you look at the graph on the left-hand side, you see demand, and you see that huge spike on that blue line. That's from last year's information. The orange one is this year's information. So this is accounting for a lot of that lost volume in these negative numbers. If we look at our year-to-date trends, this really becomes pronounced when you look at the occupancy on the left side with this graph, and that this just taken a big spike. This also carried through in November, so we'll see, again, last year's numbers being higher than where we were this year due to Florida resident displacement from Hurricane Ian and having them stay in our location during that period. And again, it's a similar trend when we look at the short-term rentals. We see that occupancy number really taking a hit. And again, this is what we believe to be due to Hurricane Ian last year. And when we look at our TDT collections, kind of a similar trend. I included 5 years of data, and this is a little bit confusing because it's on fiscal year. So the 2020 is actually October 19, and then so forth. So we can kind of see that our number for this start of fiscal year, October 2023, on the far right side of $6 million in tourism development tax collections is very similar to where we were in 2022. In 2023, there's just this big spike. And we can also see kind of we're staying level. We're again, much higher than we were in fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021.
Hey, Eddie?
Yes.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Eddie, could you go back to that screen for a second? Obviously, pretty impressive growth coming out of the pandemic. 2023 at 6.5 million. Why are we forecasting a $500,000 decline in the coming year?
And I'm sorry, this is for 2024, this is October 2023. Those are the fiscal years that they're aligned with, not the actual months. That's my fault. So 2024 is not a projection. That's what we saw in October of 2023.
Thank you.
Anyone else while we're pausing here? No one?
I would like to. Eddie, I think you got more to go, but as you do, can you forecast forward and show us where you're thinking it's going to go a little bit? Because you see occupancy, I know, down, and are we staying in that direction? And I see it at Christmas time. It's still not there for the beaches, and it may be partially because we're doing some renovations, but that last minute hasn't popped in for next week, and so that's where my concern is as you present.
Yeah, we have seen travel budgets still sort of remain at a stubborn level from where they have been. We have seen some positive information out of the State of the American Traveler, and most recently, this isn't the data that I have in this presentation, but we saw more of a positive outlook of people in the future. I'll have to get back on, because we do receive an STR quarterly forecast, and I could present that data to sort of see where that, in the future, where we're going. But it seems to me like there's positive information out there that people are kind of getting back into willing to spend a little bit more. They still see travel as a priority, but I don't know in terms of, whether we'll be higher than we were in January or February. We had some outstanding numbers this past year. So it is a little bit of a concern if we can hit those again. I don't have that in front of me right now, though.
And I think that's what is probably it's more important to look for the future than it is where we are in the past. And I think that I'm concerned about seasonality and those things. Are we back to those that we were spoiled with? And what are we doing about it? That's where the questions I think are going to have to be addressed as we go forward on it. And what I'm seeing is, talking to other people, the high end is still booking, but it's that middle area in there that are hesitating whether to book or not. And usually a presidential election a year is a good year. And so economically and everything else. So I think this is so important for us to be looking at the future, the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
Anyone else sees it?
Mayor Boljowski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Russ's comments, but I would also say that we know a lot of people are traveling to Europe, and they're spending their money there instead of coming here at the moment. This is October, so that's kind of still a decent month to go to Europe, but who knows? What I'd like to do, and you don't have to tell me now, but I'd like to understand what October 2019 looked like.
October 2019 is the fiscal year.
Is the 2020? Okay.
Yes, so that would be October 19.
Okay. So it only dropped to 3.5
In 2020.
in the pandemic?
That's correct.
Yeah, you mess us up with those. Just
Yes.
maybe next time we don't.
That's
sit
my
on
fault.
that.
Yeah. I take
Okay, so that's interesting because I would have thought that the 2020 was the pandemic number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Counselor Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Russ, I agree with you. I think, you look at the macroeconomic indicators, inflation seems to be coming under control. Interest rates are leveling off, and there's even talk of dropping them next year. A robust performance from the equities market. There just seems to be an overall optimism that's creeping back into discussions. And all of that should indicate a very, very strong 2024 and 2025 for us. So we should be positioning our marketing efforts, Brian, and our sales efforts to leverage that and take advantage of that. We should be in a very offensive position right now and not playing defense. That make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's something that we're in the process of understanding more fully and how we position ourselves with where we're at in the coming months.
And I would say just, international travel is back. That's right. A couple of opportunities for us too might be cruise ships are returning. Obviously, that's, something that we have to keep an eye on, but potentially can we advertise to those folks and create some incremental visitation in our area. Same thing with events, in live events. Can we access that audience and make sure that they're staying in our destination? For the traveler sentiment over October, again, this is sort of where this positive momentum sort of feels like it's coming from. Americans have not had this level of positive financial sentiment since March of 2022. We still see this as obviously a low number, where only 34.8% of Americans feel they're better off than they were a year ago. But relative to where we were, this is a positive trend. And again, Americans are feeling good about travel spending, and we kind of see this number going up from where we were the past few months. This is where things are sort of staying flat for now. We've still seen American travel budgets remaining below last year's levels. And then future financial optimism is kind of continuing to creep up. You can kind of see this trend line that's headed in an upward momentum, and we're about nearly 6% from where we were last year in terms of future financial optimism. And we do know that people are planning to travel for the holidays, and about 48.9% of people surveyed in October said that they were going to travel. So obviously Thanksgiving is included in this because it's surveying people from October. And then the last thing I have for you is just our visitor profile snapshot. And I wanted to just highlight a couple of key takeaways from the visitor profile before we kind of get into what it looks like from a graph perspective. But these are a couple of trends of what we're seeing. We're seeing decision time to decrease from 55 days to 48.3. We also see travel party and daily spending smaller than where it was last year, but pretty similar to where it was 2 years ago. Day trippers are increasingly older in age, with the average age of the day trip traveler surveyed in 2022 being 8 years younger than it was this year. And also daily spend tends to be around that 2021 level for both day trippers and overnight visitors. However, the reported average income still remains below these past couple of years. Again, this could be because people this year are just seem less likely to offer their income levels when being surveyed. So when we look at it from a graph perspective, this is kind of where you can see all this information. I just wanted to share it ahead of time because this is obviously a lot of information to look at. But again, you can kind of see that decision time to travel going down. You see the average income still below where it was, but on the left corner, you can see that daily spending being slightly above September of 2021, but still below September of 2022. And then this is the overnight profile. And again, we're kind of seeing similar trends, but I think the most pronounced thing that we're seeing is this, from a day trip perspective, this traveler being older than it was the past year. And that's, oh, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Counselor.
Great report, thank you. I do love this new symphony approach. It's very readable. I think September trends, though, it's pretty important to me. It's very significant when I see average income go from 116 down to 91. That to me is a big number. So like you say, maybe it's just people not supplying that. I don't know. But another one that's very significant to me, which is a huge jump, is and this is factual, and that's the makeup of the generations that are coming here. We now have a very significant boomer older population compared to the millennials or Gen Xers, which really correlates to travel party size. If I'm retired, I'm not bringing my school-age kids along with me, therefore my party size is smaller. So I think that answers why you're at 2.4 for a party size versus 3.2. But it seems if that is a real trend, that we're becoming an older market here, I would think we need to adjust our marketing campaigns to reflect that. I do think, once again, that's an anomaly, 91,000 for average. So these folks typically can spend more. We have some very high-end Clearwater resorts that we can market to. So that would be my observation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Would it be possible to get this in a year-to-date? Because we look at this as a month, and obviously with the trends, but we're just looking at 1 month. It'd be good to see that trend on a year-to-date basis, so we really see the full trend, not just a snapshot. Would be helpful.
Okay.
Good point. Phil?
That's something I've noticed. I think we're all seeing the return to normalcy. We had a big spike because post-pandemic we were open and nothing else was. And we saw some different people, some different demographics coming here that wouldn't have normally because we were pretty much their only choice. When we did the budget for this year, for fiscal 24, we never really finished it. We left kind of a gap there, and I'm not sure where that ended up. We didn't actually fund everything that we were budgeting to receive. And I'm looking at the budget sheet here now, and I'm seeing that for operation and advertising and so forth, for the tourism side, the non-capital side, 60%, we're only spending 41 million, or when we budgeted 42 million, and 60% of the 95 million that we're planning on collecting is more like 57 million. So there's a big gap there, unless I'm mixing something, that we are not funding through the budget right now. I've heard some commissioners talk about, well, there's only so much you can do, and there's other things we probably should be doing with that money, and I'm a little concerned about that. There's always new markets. I know that we want to have a great amount of frequency when we go into market, hit them here, there, and several places, and not just one thing here or one thing there. And I feel like this is the time now, maybe with this excess amount in the budget, that we could try to go after some new markets in a consolidated or in a targeted fashion, not just one ad here, one ad there, but go ahead and say here's one we haven't really hit hard, but it's got potential, and let's open ourselves up to some new markets that are still in the same in the Midwest that we haven't really gone after as heavily before. I think there's some opportunities there, especially with the amount of excess dollars that are not budgeted yet.
Brian, did you have?
Yeah, Mr. Henderson, I can speak to that. You noted the 60-40 split and the collection of TDT at $95 million, but I want to remind folks that the budget process the budget that was approved for 2024 was on the operations and marketing side was approximately $43 million. So it wasn't the full 60% that's listed in the TDT. Now, of that 43, approximately $21 million is to direct advertising and marketing. And we are in the process of, we've got a case with data to present to county administration, present our case for additional advertising funds. Those funds you saw in the last budget proposal that was brought to you earlier this year. So we're getting ready to take that to county administration, show where we're going to go, how we're going to spend it, and how we know that it's going to be effective. And if and when we get that approval, we'll be able to pull the trigger on those increased marketing spend.
Like I said, when we did the budget, we all left here, we haven't finished it. And we didn't know what was going on because we had a budgeted amount for collections and we weren't matching that with expenditures. And they just kind of dropped there, and it's, well, we're working on it, and that's when the transition took place. And shortly after that, we never really got back to it. But we way under budgeted for what we're expecting in tax collections. So that's why I'm glad you're pursuing that, because there's definitely, especially with the reserves we have, we're flush with reserves right now. I don't have to worry too much about that. And as we're seeing a little fall off and then back to normalcy for this area, I mean, we all enjoyed post-pandemic highs for sure. But I think there's room, and we have the dollars to spend to try to keep those going the same direction, try to match those years, even though we're going to see that other people, or that some people that came here during the pandemic or during post-pandemic are not planning on coming back because they're going back to Europe, or they're going on a cruise ship, or they're going to the Caribbean. And I think we need to open ourselves up to new markets that we haven't gone after before with these excess dollars.
We would agree that there's meat left on the bone. We intend to pursue it, and I can tell you that the budget process this year will be different than the budget process this previous go-round.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you all so much. I look forward to working with you all next year.
Thank you. Brian.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Jason Latimer, Director of PR and Communications, to come to the podium and just provide, he had the opportunity yesterday. As you know, we did experience a front this weekend that took a toll along our barrier islands. Jason has the latest and greatest information on that, so I asked him to provide a quick update to you all on that.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. I too am chilly. I see a lot of sweaters, so that's good. Get it out of here quickly. As Brian mentioned, we did have a call yesterday with the county communications team. We've been staying in close contact with them. There was the front that came through over the weekend. It caused a new term that I learned yesterday, which is called scarping, which does have an impact on the dunes that were constructed, creates a cliff-like result when the water erodes away the dune. So working with the county comms team to be very proactive in our communication to our visitors and beachgoers that may be coming in for the holiday weekend. All the beaches are open. Indian Shores is going to be fully open this weekend, starting on the 22nd through the 1st, and then they plan on resuming the dune restoration project there in Indian Shores on January 2nd. So they'll have a little more information on that. I did want to applaud the Public Works team. Been great working with Kelly Levy and her team. They've been working nonstop to determine results of the storm, which public beach access points are accessible and which need to be closed off. So they're making that evaluation over the last 48 hours. We should have a full update by close of business tomorrow. At which point we're also coordinating, the county comms team is coordinating a media availability with Kelly and her team and Mayor Kennedy to inform all the residents and the beachgoers again, just to stay off the dunes, avoid the scarping areas, but the beaches are open, and please come out and enjoy them over the weekend. Hopefully we have some great weather during the holiday times here. But on our end, then we'll remain proactive in our communication. Once we receive those openings and closings, we'll work with our partners on the beaches just to make sure they have that information. We're also going to create a kind of a one-sheeter information as well about scarping and what that dune may look like now, and to please avoid that for all of our accommodations on the beaches that they can then provide to their residents for the time being until that's resolved. So that's the update.
Any comments or, excuse me, Councilor Prather?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two questions. We pride ourselves on our award-winning beaches. They're just white sand. And when the Army Corps came, they dredged and put that beautiful powder white sand back on the beaches. But now, I think, unless I'm corrected, we're trucking in sand. Is it the same quality that should be on our beaches? Where are we getting this sand from? Is my main questions. I've got a follow-up, but we'll start with that.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to answer that question technically.
Okay, all right, then,
where
more of a
it's
Kelly
from.
question.
But I've received similar information to that, so I would have to kind of defer to the county public works a little bit more on exactly how that process is working.
I can give you the 50,000-foot response is that, yeah, typically a regularly scheduled nourishment is dredged, I believe most of the time, from a variety of sand sources we have here just off our beaches. In this case, we did in fact use sand that we imported from, I believe, a quarry in Central Florida and brought it over. So it is different than the typically dredged sand off our coast.
I do know that in talking to Dr. Bishop, he did mention in one of our earlier conversations that there is testing because you can't mix qualities of sand. There are certain qualities and you can't mix them. So the sand meets that qualification standard to mix and match with what was previously on site that had been dredged up.
Thank you, Jason. And then my follow-up would really be for Brian or Madam Chair. Would it be possible for us to get a graphic at the next meeting that just shows the beaches from the bottom to the top in Pinellas County of what we're doing, which ones we're focusing on today, what we've finished, and what we're going to plan on for 2024? That would help.
Yeah,
me
we
anyway.
certainly can have a graphic for you. I will put another plug in. The county Public Works and Communications, they have created a website specifically for the Emergency Dune Restoration Project, and it's updated on a regular basis, and it has an interactive map. Not only at the top does it have a description broken down by beach and gives you a status update of each segment, but then you scroll down and it has an interactive map, and you can hone in on the specific beach access avenue, and it'll give you a status update for that when you click on it. So you can scroll through, see the entire beach. Now, it's one of those interactive maps. It's not a static image, but I'm certainly happy to work with the team to see if we can produce a static image to show.
And as the information comes in and gets updated with the openings and closings as well, that will all be updated on the Pinellas County website.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gertis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought I'd provide a different perspective. My family and I visited Sunset Beach, and we were out there for a couple hours. You couldn't tell the difference. I mean, scientifically, I don't know, but you couldn't tell the difference between the sand that had just been placed, because I think we were there about a week or two after the project on Sunset Beach had finished. You could not, in my opinion, you couldn't tell the difference being on the beaches for the last 40 years in St. Petersburg. I thought they did a great job. And then actually I take the beach coming here. And so the Indian Shores project stopped me for a minute, and all of the trucks were filled with what looks to be beautiful white sand that, again, I think you really can't tell the difference when you're out there. I won't obviously speak scientifically because that's way above my head, but from a feel and a look, it's still beautiful white sand and looks just like our beaches. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else for this part of the discussion? Yes. I would just like to point out, Doreen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Morning. Just wanted to speak, and not in terms of the negative side of things, but pointing out that we have various properties up and down the beach in terms of condo hotels and resorts that still don't have beach access. There's no way for these properties and these users and these vacationers to get over a 10-foot dune because there's no access point. You know, beyond the visual impact of how this has affected the properties themselves is just simply they don't have beach access. And so it's been discussed, I believe, Mayor, you brought up some issues in your town as well. So I think that, that communication is not happening, and there's really not any answers. There's also another issue that's been brought up about with the installation of the dunes. We all know what we're trying to accomplish here in protecting the properties, but what about the turtles? We've all been, challenged with proper beach areas and maintaining it so when the turtle season is open, and the county has no answers as to what we're doing with that. And the impacts, if you have no beach and you've got, thank you for the new word, scarping, there's nowhere for the turtles to go either. So I'm not sure how we can comply with all of the things that we're challenged with, but wanted to point out. Thank you.
Thank you for those very poignant comments, Doreen. And I would like to just share with you another thought, which is not up for deep discussion today, but it is something that I think as members of this board, you really have a responsibility to be thinking about. We all know, one of the things that I learned in another chapter of my life when I was the deputy insurance commissioner, and we were talking about how to move forward in our state after the terrific storm, Hurricane Andrew. I think you might all remember that one. And, from a public policy perspective, we know that weather is cyclical. And depending on how the moon is in the sky and the tilt of the globe, the weather changes around the world. It's not just here. But I think it's important for us to think about moving forward for the future. Are we missing the boat when we don't even take the time to hear a deep dive discussion on, for example, the P3 partnership that I spoke about several months ago? Because as it was shared with me when we were in London and we were at that big Florida dinner, the statement was made, and I think I shared this when we met last month, that you may not do that or move in that direction now, but I promise you within the next 5 years you will, because otherwise you will no longer be competitive in the world. And in my head, that translates into another really big policy discussion about the constant effort to re-nourish our beaches when we know we can't control the weather and we know that storms are getting more frequent and more powerful. And how are we going to develop policy that is fair to everyone when we know we have resistance from folks that live on the beach from even signing the easement to allow us to refurbish? And nothing made this conversation more clear to me than some photos that we received over the weekend. I don't know if you saw them. It was startling to see how much sand had been swept away from, one of the photos was from Bel Air Beach. I couldn't get over it. There was an actual cliff created by the movement of the waves that was here, and Kelly Levy was standing down here about 5 feet. That's as tall as I am. Think about that. That's a lot of sand and a lot of public money being poured down and flushing out into the ocean. So I just leave that hanging. I certainly don't have the answers. Doreen spoke about, well, we have no answers. Well, how do you find answers to deal with Mother Nature when she's so unpredictable? Just asking. That's going to be your job going forward, but let the record reflect, I raised the question here. You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about meeting dates, Brian?
Yes, you all have a list of the 2024 Tourist Development Council meeting dates in your packet, and just looking for approval to move forward with those so we can plan accordingly.
Motion to approve if it's so needed.
It's been moved, and who made the second? Chuck made the second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Next, you also have the financial reports in front of you. You've had the opportunity to look over that. I don't believe there were any questions that have come to my attention to this point, but if you do have any, Terry Tuxhorn, our VP of Finance and Administration, is here and can answer those.
Well, for the record, do we want Terry to come up and just give us the bottom line?
Terry, would you like to come up and give us the bottom line?
Just so it's on the record.
Terry Tuxhorn, VP of Finance and Administration. We presented the September 2023 actuals, and as of today, I don't believe the books are closed yet, but it's very close. There will probably be minimal, if any, adjustments to the actuals that were presented in the report. As far as November, you'll see that there are zeros for the tax collections, and that's because the tax collections for October were deposited in December before, after this report was pulled. And as far as the promotional expenses, it's showing that there are zero actuals when there are invoices being processed. It's just the lag in processing time. So there are actual expenses going on right now. Did anyone have any questions?
So we have money in the bank?
We have money in the bank.
That's very good. Councilor Bolchowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just possibly for a future discussion and kind of going on what Phil was talking about earlier, we do have a pretty good amount of reserves, which, you know, we always want to have reserves. And I'm really more focused on operating than I am capital at this point. I think it would be helpful on this sheet for you to, in the future, to talk about what our percentage of our reserves are. You know, we have a goal that we try to meet, and I'm fairly sure we're way above our goal. But it doesn't matter. I don't need to know that right now. I'm just saying in the future. But I do think we want to just monitor that. Because sometimes if you have that much reserves, maybe there's something we should be spending it on instead of just letting it sit, you know. So that's it.
And Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have the fund balance on the September, correct, for the operating side?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
You're awfully quiet this morning. Is it because of the cold? Bill?
You know, I'm just doing the quick math. We're budgeting for a $46 million increase to reserves. Is that the ending fund balance shows 221,000. We're ending fund balance going into it. Beginning fund balance was 175, so we have it budgeted for 46 million.
Approximately.
Yeah. We got money to spend. Not doing any good or any
That's
interest.
kind of my point, you know. I mean, maybe there's a special project. I know you're working on doing some hiring, and you may need money for that, which would come out of that operating. I totally get all of that. There's probably things in your head that you're already thinking about that we're not aware operationally, which is fine. But if there's a special project, or if there's something we really want to push that we didn't plan to do, and there's money there, and there's an opportunity there to get a good ROI, then we should be looking at it.
I know we're in the beginning stages of working on rolling out the capital project funding program, and so that will take up.
Yeah, and I'm more speaking about operationally than I am the capital side. Listen, there's plenty of things we could spend that money on. I know that. I'm saying to promote the destination and all of that.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
as far as I can speak to this budget and next year's budget, those reserves that we have, you know, I can't go in and tap into. So I've got to go, and those funds have to be allocated to us. So I am putting our case forward to go after those funds, and the special project is clear. It's direct advertising and marketing of the destination. That's what I intend to go after. We are starting the process. We internally, we've already begun the process, but we have our budget kickoff meeting with OMB for the 2025 fiscal year budget in January 9th, I believe. And so that's where those discussions will begin, and we can state our case.
Councilor Henderson?
And in that process here, I don't know what you're proposing to target. If you're just saying we need more of these dollars for our operations, for advertising, for marketing, and you have specifics you're going to present them, or are you just basically saying we didn't budget for it like we should have? We didn't have a budget process that should have taken place. We ended up with budgeting flat, and that left all these excess dollars not being spent. So I don't know what your approach to them is. If it's okay, there's excess that we should have budgeted, we want it now, or are they looking for where are you going to spend it, or what do you need it for? And if it's what do you need it for, I strongly recommend that we don't try to increase high season marketing. Let's go after shoulder season. Let's try to boost where we have excess capacity. And we've had it, even in the pandemic, we had excess capacity in the August, September, October, November timeframe. And I think that's where we should concentrate to try to build more visitation during those shoulder seasons when we have the excess capacity. That's just my view, and I don't think we should pile a lot of money in to try to get more people to come to March, because we're pretty full in March and April. For what it's worth.
We agree.
Councilor Prather?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Historically, we haven't spent a lot on sports and marketing, but yet it's been a discussion periodically of the meetings over the last several years that we really think it should be a target. It's an increasing. So with this surplus, is there talk of both sports and marketing as well as marketing and conventions? I know Russ has brought up many times how important that is at his as well as the other resorts around the beaches. We're interviewing for chief marketing officer, and several candidates have brought that up also, that we might be lean in our marketing efforts towards meeting and conventions. So is that a consideration to take some of these dollars and increase those budgets in 2024?
I'll just be frank with you all. I'm excited that this is my first budget that I'm going into. And so I have an opportunity to look at take a fresh perspective at everything we do and where we're allocating our resources. And I intend to do that. And we're not going to look at a baseline budget from previous years and go from there. Internally, and again, we work very closely with OMB through the budget process, but I intend to work with our department directors internally to zero-based budget and look at everything we do. And if there are things that we see opportunities in, let's go after it. If there are things that we've done that we've allocated resources to currently or in the past, but there's not a need to do so anymore, or there's not opportunities there that used to exist, we're going to get rid of it. So I'm excited about the next 4 months. I know Jim's probably looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm optimistic.
Well, thank you. We have seen in the past where, for instance, arts and culture, it was under budgeted. And we saw a great increase in that budget over the most recent years, which was fantastic. We all talked about it, we saw a need, and staff reacted and budgeted accordingly. So I'm thrilled to hear that you're going to really scrub these budgets for advertising and promotions and find areas that are lacking. That's exciting. So I look forward to seeing that budget come spring.
Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, Brian, I think the message is clear that we've got this surplus, and it goes back to my earlier comment. Let's be on the offense. Let's be looking at those opportunity markets, those shoulder seasons or off seasons that Phil talked about, and let's put this money to work for us. It's a time that we can. We're very fortunate, and certainly we need to be fiscally responsible. But with that kind of a surplus, let's take this thing out for a ride and see what we can do with it, and you know, drive some of that incremental revenue into those shoulder and off seasons. So I think the council has made it clear. We look forward to seeing a proposal that does just that. Make sense?
Crystal clear.
Thank you.
Tricia, I haven't heard anything from you today. Do you not have anything to add?
Well, I would add that Christmas is 4 days away, and I'm so
I
busy.
can't hear you.
I said I would add that Christmas is 4 days away, or 5 days away, and I'm very busy. No, I agree with everything. It's awesome for me to always hear the higher perspective from the hotels and everything. I've experienced a budget process several times now, and it is, of course, a learning process. As we move through the steps, I look forward to seeing it spread in all of the areas that we're missing. Certainly in the tourism and the attraction side of it, we're seeing it probably tenfold after it gets through all of the hotels and all the stays and all of everything. So speaking for smaller businesses and restaurants and attractions and all of that feed through all of the business that comes to our given areas, I think bolstering our shoulder areas is very important. Again, I think we feel it through every business, but certainly the smaller businesses feel it a lot. So I think it's a wise way to look at everything. So thank you for that.
Anyone else? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few months ago, the recommendation was made to increase our digital marketing budget. Has that happened, or is this something that we're still considering?
It's something that we're actively working on. Again, that recommendation wasn't going to move forward without our data and our case. And until we're able to accurately prove our case and show data that proves it's going to be used in the most effective manner possible and put that plan together, I can't make that ask. I'm not going to make that ask until we have that. We're in the process and meeting to finalize that. So I intend to, next month after the holidays, we should be in a position where we can make that ask.
And is there a possibility to offer incentives to reduce room rates across the board?
So we do have an incentive program in the meeting side of things. Now there are qualifications for those, meeting size, room nights, but across the board incentives have not been contemplated.
Okay, all right. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think that we all saw a major increase in room rates post-COVID because they knew they would fill the rooms. No problem. They could pretty much charge whatever they wanted. But now I believe that based upon the report I saw about the travel budgets remaining stubbornly below what we expected them to be, it's probably time that we figure out how to be more competitive to fill the rooms whenever we're in off-season. I don't know what we're doing about it, but I'm sure that that money will come back tenfold if we can figure that out. Thank you.
Mike, did you have?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. With all due respect to Councilman Gaddis's comments, increasing room rate is what hotels are all about. That's where the profit is. There is a revenue management protocol that I think each of our hotels or chains operate under to manage the inventory and pricing recommendations based on market demand. And I don't know that in fact, I do know that this council should not be engaged in discussions about rates or managing those rates. That's really up to the individual properties and the individual chains to manage and to do what they see is best for their property, again, based on the inventory that's available and market demand. But decreasing rates is rarely a good thing.
Commissioner Kimball.
I'd like to add to Mike's comments that there is Trade Commission regulations and everything on our industry that we cannot talk about rates in any way, form. And I'd ask that we remove the discussion that we've had or keep it in a general statement only, as we all know and warned about the 5 of us that are in the room here now.
Well, these meetings are, I refer to our county attorney. Are we in a posture where we can eliminate discussion from the record?
No, once something's been discussed, it's on the record, but it doesn't have to have any formal impact.
Right.
Then but we need to make sure that we've noted that we cannot discuss for the protection of the 5 of us that are in the room that are hoteliers.
And that's fair enough. I apologize to this council for those comments.
Are you clear, Stacy? Yes or no? Okay. Are we good? Anything else for the good of the order here on the finances? All right, Brian, the 2023 year in review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to close out the year highlighting some of the successes and some of the work that's been done by the Visit St. Pete Clearwater staff, as well as you all here on the Tourist Development Council. So I do have, bear with me as I just go through a few highlights that I have, some stats and accomplishments that I want to make sure I take this time to recognize for the great work of our staff. So as far as reaching residents, social media posts this year, we generated more than 150 million impressions and 17 million unique engagements. YouTube content alone generated 3.8 million video views. We established the From Visitors with Love campaign, which helps educate our residents on the value of tourism. And this included the production of a website, FromVisitorsWithLove.com. We also included partners in the campaign to offer special discounts to our locals. We organized media events with Pinellas County surrounding emergency beach shoreline restoration, and we did add our signage From Visitors with Love to many of the beach access points that are undergoing emergency restoration projects. Boosting tourism, 2023 set a record for bed tax collection, $98 million total, generated nearly $1.1 billion in local hotel revenue, which equated to $1.6 billion total in all accommodation revenue. We saw nearly 6 million hotel rooms occupied during the fiscal year. Our elite event program allocated $1.5 million in funding to these events, 28 this year. I know we approved more, but because of the fiscal year, 28 officially in the fiscal year. We booked 292 meetings, conferences, groups, generating 137,027 room nights with a direct spend of $126 million. Booked 125 sporting events, bringing nearly 350,000 visitors to the destination and generating over $134 million and 182,000 room nights. The Film Commission issued more than 160 film permits. This equated to $1.5 million in incentives for 12 projects, equating to a $7.4 million local spend, 2,000 local jobs created, and more than 3,000 room nights. Our staff attended 37 travel advisory shows and meetings with 4,000 travel advisors at shows across 16 states, as well as Germany, London, and Canada, and trained an additional 3,000 operators and travel advisors in 27 destinations across Latin America. We produced more than 900 media mentions, generating almost 1 billion impressions. And then as far as our awards, this is something that our staff is getting used to receiving. And in 2023, Visit St. Pete Clearwater staff earned 3 Visit Florida Silver Flagler Awards. Those Flagler Awards were for the Gulf to Bay Destination Magazine, the Unwind to Be Kind social campaign, as well as the Travel Zoo Partnership. The Travel Zoo campaign also received a Destiny Award for Best Digital Campaign at the ESTO Conference, and we earned Convention South's 2023 Reader's Choice Award as a top destination in the region for the 2nd straight year. We were also awarded 2 silver and 2 bronze awards from Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. These were for the Gulf to Bay Destination Magazine, as well as our Barbie Core PR campaign and our Live Like a Local Influencer social media campaign, in addition to the Ultimate Cheat Meals of St. Pete social media video. So in addition to that, internally, we did hire 5 new positions. We filled 2 of the VP positions. The remaining 2, the last 2, we should have, we're in the interview process now, with our finalists, and we should have those filled by the end of January. We promoted 4 staff members. We brought PR management in-house with the addition of a PR director, and we adopted new capital funding program guidelines. So I say all this simply to recognize the work and efforts of the Visit St. Pete Clearwater staff. They did have challenges this year. I would describe 2023 for our staff as a grind, and they had 2 different president and CEOs, one of which was there on an interim basis for half the year. But they got the job done. And not only did they rise to the occasion, but they contributed to a historic year for tourism in Pinellas County. So I would ask you all to join me in recognizing our staff and saying thank you to them. In addition to our staff, I want to personally thank each and every one of you surrounding me at this table. You all bring an expertise to Pinellas County tourism that is appreciated and is recognized and is looked up to. And I want to thank you for your support for me personally, as well as for the Visit St. Pete Clearwater organization. So again, just from me to you, thank you. And I just want to wrap this up with moving forward into 2024. We've done a lot of great things in 2023. It's an exciting time to be part of the organization and be in tourism in Pinellas County. But we're not done. In fact, we're just getting started. And I do want to note 3 of the priorities that we have moving into 2024 we're going to finally implement that strategic plan. And it's going to be complete with KPIs and performance metrics that we can track our progress and align it with our mission here at Visit St. Pete Clearwater. We're also going to update our CRM system, and this is going to be done through standardized training throughout the organization for all of our staff members. And then finally, we are going to introduce annual performance evaluations and reviews, and these are going to include individual goals and metrics for our staff. So I think with the increase in staffing and leadership and how we're positioning ourselves right now. 2024 is going to be an outstanding year for Pinellas County tourism. So thank you all.
Counselor Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian, thanks for that recap. I think a lot has been accomplished this year, but I wanted to personally acknowledge your contribution and really the breath of fresh air that you've brought to the endeavor. I think as we've gone through interviews with a number of the key individuals, hearing from members who are currently in the VSPC operation, every one of them speaks highly of you. Every one of them identifies the positive and immediate impact that you have had on the operation. And congratulations and best of luck for continued success.
Thank you, sir.
And if I could, Commissioner Long, is this your exit?
It is.
Well, thank you for your guidance and leadership over the last year. It's been refreshing and engaging, and you've challenged us to think of things that that we need to have on our plates, and for that I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that and say thank you for the personal time that you took to travel to the destinations in Europe, South America, and around our country for trade shows and everything. It takes the chairman, it takes the chairman's presence there to open doors, open press releases and interviews and things like that, and you took the time. It was no surprise to me because I know you always have done that.
Thank you.
But we appreciate that and the time away from your family and everything because it was very important to our industry. Thank you, Jenna.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Commissioner Henderson.
I want to echo that, and you're now seasoned and experienced at this, and we appreciate your leadership. On the other hand, Brian, you're not seasoned and experienced, but with what we've seen from you so far, I can't wait to see when you really know what you're doing. No, it's great having, as I talked to the county administrator before he made it final, I said, this is exactly what we need. We need somebody who's going to be a great administrator to really look at all the pieces and then get the right people in the right places, and he can oversee them. And you're going just on that exact track. You're doing a great job at it, and like I said, I wish you continued success, and we're looking forward to it.
Councilor Prather.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to personally thank you. You've dedicated so many years of your life to leadership in Pinellas County. You represented us well in Tallahassee. You mentioned earlier the insurance. But as a county commissioner, it hit home to me earlier in the year when we were discussing the raise, and I've never forgotten this. You said it takes leadership, whatever the definition or the issue at hand is. Make a stand, defend it, and lead. You're the epitome of that over all these years, whether it's with St. Pete Catholic or it's here with us on the Tourist Development Council. So I just, from the heart, personally thank you for all you've done for us in Pinellas County.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for all your kind words, but I have to correct you just a little bit. My leadership skills were best employed at Clearwater Central Catholic, not St. Pete Catholic. That's a big rival.
It's Copley and I tried to sneak that in there, but
we were just trying to bring you over to the school that really wanted your leadership. You know, okay.
I tried.
There's
Yeah.
a Gertis at CCC right now too. It's fine.
Well, they did win the School Excellence Award from President Bush. Did you know that?
Ooh.
Clearwater Central Catholic.
That was before Gertis got there.
There's always been a Gertis there. I'm sorry to take that away from you.
No, CCC I meant. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
well,
been
there's
a Gertis at
plenty
St.
of-
Pete Catholic since 1970.
There's plenty of Bajolskis at CCC over the years, so trust me.
Okay, I'm so glad we got that off the table.
Well, Madam Chair, we're not quite done yet. I had a few off-the-cuff things that I added to the agenda, and because we've gone into this, I wanted to take the opportunity to personally thank you. I've had the opportunity over, my entire professional career to work with you. I've known you for even longer, going back about 15, 16 years now. Never have I been able to work side by side as close to you as I have the past 7 months, and it truly has been excellent, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I just want to thank you for that, and I do have something to present you as well.
Are you going to make me cry? Oh.
So on behalf of the entire Tourist Development Council, as well as the staff at Visit St. Pete Clearwater, I want to present you with this, and I will read it for everyone. It says, "Keep shining. Thank you to Commissioner Janet C. Long for her fabulous leadership and outstanding contributions to Pinellas County's #1 employer, tourism. Wishing her a heartfelt farewell from the TDC and St. Pete Clearwater tourism community."
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I'll put it on my wall right up there with the last one that I got from your way long ago predecessor, David Downing. And they'll make a great, this makes a great addition to my collection. Thank you so much. And by the way, it's been 52 years that I've been working in government in Pinellas County on the benefit of all of the citizens here in Pinellas. So that is quite a long time. I hardly can believe it myself. Thank you.
And knowing that you have received, knowing that one of my predecessors has presented you with that, I wanted to one-up them.
Okay.
And so, knowing your affinity for keys, specifically to the county, we also wanted to present you with the key to Pinellas County tourism.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen this one before. Is this new?
Brand new, hot off the press.
Well, look at this. Look at that. Is that great? Thank you so much. That's so fun because I cannot tell you, the one for the county is very tiny and it's solid brass, so it's heavy. But we got a lot of mileage out of those keys in Brazil, didn't we, Brian?
And I like to think that we do it big at Visit St. Pete Clearwater.
This is great. So, is this the key to the presidential suite at all of these magnificent resorts throughout the county?
Yes.
That would be fabulous.
Not until you're out of office.
What? I heard what you said, but it's only 11 more months and then maybe it'll work. I'm going to try to find out. Thank you very, very much. This has been fun. And I do encourage you, I know I sound like a broken record, but do take the time to have a really thoughtful conversation about that P3 partnership model. I worry that if we don't at least have the conversation, we're kind of working in a vacuum. So that's important too. Thank you.
And Commissioner Long is not the only one who will not be with us in January at the TDC meeting. I also have just a couple more people I want to recognize. The first being Barbara St. Clair, who's joining us in the audience. As you know, her time with Creative Pinellas is coming to an end, and I wanted to offer her the opportunity to say a few words if she'd like.
When have I ever turned down the opportunity to say a few words? It has, right here, yeah. It has been such a pleasure to work with all of you, to work in the county, to work in the arts. I thank you for the opportunity. It is the thrill of my lifetime to have been able to do this and to have the invitation to do this and to build the partnerships and the collaboration. So I really appreciate all of you, and thank you for letting me be here and be part of this.
And last but certainly not least, next January and next time you get a meeting agenda, it will be coming from someone different than Stacy O'Donnell. Stacy her last day is Friday with Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Then she's going to take a little time off, enjoy the holidays, and continue her career over here across the street at 315 Court Street. So I wanted to take this time to publicly thank Stacy for all that she has done for me personally, but for the entire Visit St. Pete Clearwater organization. These last 7 months wouldn't have happened without all your hard work, and thanks for making me look good. And replacing Stacy, you may notice a familiar face to some. Sitting next to her today is Tracy Nix, and Tracy has been with Visit St. Pete Clearwater for a number of years. And while she's got enormous shoes to fill, I'm extremely confident that she'll step right in and do a spectacular job. So Tracy will be working with me beginning really now. So I'd like to congratulate her and welcome her to her new position. And that's what I have under my report, and I turn it back to you for board member comments, Commissioner.
Thank you. Any further comments from the members of the board? Doreen?
Yes, I just wanted to continue on the conversation about Barbara's retirement. As your representative from the TDC, ex officio member of the board for Creative Pinellas, both over the last 2 years, but actually in the beginning, and having served as president for a couple of terms there, this has been obviously near and dear to my heart. And so having worked with Barbara since the team hired her, the board hired her going on 8 years ago, I'm very proud of what Creative Pinellas has accomplished, and through Barbara's leadership and the team that's there. But also, I'm very, very encouraged with the changes that we've seen in terms of our county administration working with VSPC, the additional emphasis on arts and culture that I'm seeing in our advertising, and everyone working together. This has just been really an energized approach, and wanting to wish Barbara all the best wishes going into her, I won't say retirement, because she has lots of plans to do her own endeavors in arts and things like that. But we will be having a new director, or CEO, president of Creative Pinellas. That search process hasn't been finalized as yet. Offers have been made, and so we're really encouraged that in January we will be moving forward. There's an interim person in place. Barbara's last day is today, so and wishing her much success and through the holidays, and a good time to take time off. So thank you for letting me say how much we all gain by the arts and culture and the development of that area for Pinellas County. So it's exciting. Thank you.
Welcome. Commissioner Boljowski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, I want to tell you how much I appreciated working with you here. I hope I'm still working with you on Forward Pinellas. Am I still working with you on Forward Pinellas?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'm counting on it. And I've had a long history of working with you, so I enjoy it very much, very much.
Same here. Thank
So
you very
thank you.
much.
And of course, Brian's a rock star. That's all I can say. Very happy. And Barbara, thank you for your service. And Stacy, thank you for yours too. I just wanted to tell you a quick thing. Many of you know that I complain about all the cars on the road and tourism, you know, the cars that tourism brings.
And the roundabouts.
Yeah, that too. December 4th in the city of Dunedin, we were lucky enough to have 140 ladies from the villages, and they all came by bus, not cars, to visit us for the day, and they want to come back. So the next time they want to come back, I want to talk to Brian about trying to really, you know, whoop it up with them. But they came, they hung out in downtown Dunedin. We showed them around, introduced them to things. I've never seen so many ladies all at once on a Monday. So it's an off day. Some businesses are closed on Monday and they open just for these ladies. And it was wonderful. But they wanted to come visit someplace in Pinellas County, and they chose Dunedin. It wasn't anything we went out and looked for. They chose us, so I just thought I'd share that with you. They want to come back.
So I'm curious, Mayor, what was the impetus that caused them to pick Dunedin? Do you know?
I don't know. I think they just, you know, pointed at a map. It was a day excursion for them. So,
Interesting.
but I'll find out. I'll see if I can get more information. I was more focused on what we did with them than I was how they got the information.
It'd be kind of fun to do
but-
a little survey about what were they thinking
Yeah.
when they picked that spot.
Yeah, but I just thought it was pretty cool.
It is cool.
Well, Mayor Bujalski, I've got two comments. The first being that I would love to host 140 ladies next time they come into town. And the second
Oh,
being...
they would love you to host them. Are you kidding?
The second being that to the impetus for them coming now, I don't want to take credit for this, but I do want to put a plug in. Earlier this year, we had Oliver from our community relations team had an idea about a show occurring in the villages, and it was straight to residents of the villages, something that we had not participated in previously. He said this may be an opportunity. So he did attend that show, and that was, I'm going to say, late summer. October 23rd, so I was a little off there. But yeah. Yeah, so we're going to continue to look at opportunities like that, and it'd be great if that was their decision.
Yes, you can say one more thing, because then I have one more thing to say as well. Go ahead.
Thanks. So I did want to bring up one item just to your attention and notify you of that, and then I can turn it over to Mayor Bujalski. But she has some great news to share, and I just wanted to make sure that the Tourist Development Council was aware of this news. And I will also be notifying the Board of County Commissioners as all TDC appointments are theirs. But we are in the process of identifying a cure process to make sure that we move forward in the correct manner. And so wanted to put it on your radar today, and I can turn it over to the mayor to give you that great news.
Well, as of January 2nd, I'm the new president and CEO of the Greater Dunedin Chamber of Commerce.
Congratulations.
Thank you. As Commissioner Long, I am terming out in November, and I've worked extensively with our city attorney to work on any conflicts, and there is a state law that allows an elected official to work for a 501c organization as long as those conflicts have been removed, if you will, meaning I can't, at the city level or here, vote on anything that has anything to do with the chamber. Brian has been having behind-the-scenes meetings with the chamber, and my board chair is filling that role until I, am out of office, so that there is no unforeseen pressure for anything. If we don't talk about the chambers much here, but if we did, I would recuse myself from the conversation and go sit in the audience and not participate. I don't see this as being a problem. My city attorney has approved it. I've worked with Amanda. I've filled out a waiver form. Again, neither my city nor TDC talk about the chamber much. There was a similar situation with the Florida Aquarium, I believe.
Yes, there
Yeah,
was.
so, and it worked out fine. They filled out the waiver form and just recused themselves from those votes. So I've spoke with Brian at length. He doesn't seem to be worried. He just wants to cross all the dots, and Amanda, as do I. So I hope you guys will be okay with this and allow me to serve out the rest of my term. My last meeting would be October, because I would term out in November.
Oh, we're going bye-bye same time.
Both of us.
How
Well,
sad.
We'll go for drinks. So,
Okay.
Brian, did you want to do anything with that, or is it just a matter of us having the discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to introduce the topic today. This is new. It just recently occurred, and I'm in the process of working with Amanda and to make sure that we take any appropriate actions that are necessary. And again, I did want to make sure to give the Board of County Commissioners a heads up as all the appointments are there. So I thought I had a path forward, but we're just double checking ourselves. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Anyone else? David?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to let you know it's been a pleasure working with you this year, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you still have a lot on your plate, but it's been very nice, and I appreciate your patience with me. Also, Brian, I would like to thank you for the one-on-ones this year. Very helpful to everyone, I'm sure. And to everyone else, happy holidays, and looking forward to a fun and productive 2024. Thank you.
Excellent. So I would also like to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. And Tony, if you could please stand. My assistant, Tony Stillo, who's relatively new in my office, but he has hit the ground really running and dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's to help me do a better job as a county commissioner. I just wanted to say thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so I think that concludes our, right, do you have anything else?
The only thing I would say is that we got done a little earlier than I anticipated, so we are awaiting, we're in conversations with the caterer, so it may be a few minutes before our feast is here, so bear with us.
Oh, well, I have a great idea. Thank you so much. So because we got done early, how about, because you've been so reluctant to talk about it, how about we spend just a few minutes, it'd make me so happy, talking about the possibility of learning more about a P3 partnership for Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Could we do that? Yes? No? Counselor Henderson?
I think we should do that. I think you brought it to the table, and we haven't really discussed it. We have some time. I don't have a lot of input on it. I'd like to have you kind of give a little bit of a start with the framework of what you were thinking.
Okay, we can do that, but let's hear, how about this? Does anybody not want to have the conversation? Please don't say that. Okay, then, as you know, I brought forward an idea that I thought was very worthy of a conversation. And the idea started to generate in my mind when I was your chair about, what was that, 5 or 6 years ago? You know, and timing in life is everything, but it just so happened that I had a few conversations with some folks that have been involved in this kind of marketing and PR effort, which is really what Visit St. Pete Clearwater is designed to be. You're the PR people and the marketing folks in our county that have a vested interest in the tourism industry. And from a national perspective, and then even more from a statewide perspective, the P3 model, a public-private partnership model, is the model of governance that a lot of organizations throughout our state are moving to. And Dana Young, who is what is her title? She's the executive director of Visit Florida, right? Spoke to me personally because over dinner one night when we were in London, she looked at me kind of funny. It was really the first time I had ever really met her. And she said, "So I hear that you're very interested and have been talking about the P3 model for Visit St. Pete Clearwater." And I was somewhat surprised and curious about how on earth she heard about the fact that I was talking about that here when she's representing Visit Florida. And she went on to say what I started to tell you when I first made my remarks, that whether you do it now or you wait 5 years or 6 years or 7, we will end up doing it, because otherwise, if we don't, we won't be competitive in the world of tourism. Nothing brought that more to my attention than when we were at the World Travel Market, both this year and when I had the opportunity to go 5 or 6 years ago, was to learn that our biggest competitor is Dubai. I think you've all heard me say that before. Because if you're in Europe or anywhere on another continent, it's easier to get to Dubai than it is to come here to Florida. And so that's kind of how the conversation started, Phil, and I felt that I had a responsibility and an obligation to bring the conversation to all of you, because that's what I'm here for. Not to just bury my head in the sand and keep on doing what we've always done, because if you do that, you're going to get the same results. And isn't that Einstein's theory of insanity? So that's all I wanted, was to have the conversation and put all the cards on the table. And then you'd be in a much better position to make a good decision. Yes.
What I'm curious about is what are the points that make that approach better than what we have now? I know that
well,
I would have brought it up earlier when we had a problem with hiring, thinking that we're not able to pay as much as we should for the positions we're looking for competitively in today's market. And under the 3P situation, you know, the government kind of loses control of that. They say, here's your money, spend it best you can, and they can hire people at different levels. They're not strictly bound by the, you know, E3 or whatever the position is in government. This is all they get. This is all they can make, no matter how good they do. Whereas in what you're proposing, the dollars go to a private entity and they choose how to spend it. They choose how to pay their executives and what the right amount is to get the right people in. And I can see that as a big advantage. I see the disadvantage in that you kind of lose a little bit of control over how the money is being spent. And, you know, there are some perks that would be taken that wouldn't normally be taken in a government type situation, because there's less eyes on it.
That's a loaded question, Phil, because there's a lot of detail that
Right.
goes into putting the memorandum of understanding together that would cause us to move forward in that. But I did share 2 documents with all of you. One of them is titled Pros and Cons of Transitioning from a Convention and Visitors Bureau to a Public-Private Partnership Destination Marketing Organization. So I shared this with all of you. If you did not receive it, I'm happy to ask Tony to send it to you again. And I also shared with all of you this document that's titled Public versus Private, and it goes into determining the best DMO structure for our community. And I thought that was very informative, and that you all needed to see that as well. So if you didn't get it, or you got it and you forgot about, or you never read it, I'm happy to send it out to you again, but I promise you, it's really important to learn the difference in what we could do versus what we're not able to do now. And in the spirit of full disclosure, our county administrator is not very high on this idea. I'm not exactly sure why, but I know, and I think I'm accurate, Brian, you can share if I'm misspeaking, that he thought it was an untimely time to be discussing it because we were in transition with Brian. But Brian can't use that excuse much longer because he's been here for a little while now, and he also has hit the ground running. And so I just encourage you, take it up and talk about it and think about it and ask yourself, well, what's the worst thing that could happen if we just tried it? Commissioner Williams.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. This is a business model that has proved successful in many organizations, many areas. Listen, there's many business models that work and should be considered, and I do believe it's incumbent upon us from time to time to look at these different business models and see if they won't serve our needs better than our current plan. After review, we may not change, but at least we will have done our diligence. We will understand better what we can do, and it's certainly something that, as a board, we need to take a look at. Personally, I'm supportive of it, but I'd like to have much more discussion and hear, from our peers on the council, what their thoughts are and how we could effectively review this in an objective manner.
Doreen?
So I think sharing, to follow your comments, my personal feelings, and Chair, you understand we go back a long way from many years in the past, and I've seen many cycles of VSPC, and my feeling of the model change is certainly, I've been open and I've looked at it. There was a point in time where I was very much in favor of making change. But I think that where we are right now, and we can't just be looking at today. I appreciate your thoughts, all the thoughts about business models and into the future. But I think that one of the things that guides everything that we're doing is our cultural plan. And
what?
The cultural plan that the county has brought forward in terms of, yes, the impact of arts and other things, but that's still integral to our budget. And how is all of that going to come forward? And our county administrator is very much looking forward to that as being kind of a guidebook to see the economics of what arts and culture are doing, but how that also affects, I think, all aspects of what we do. So I'm pleased with the direction. We've all given our accolades for the last year's accomplishments, and we have a great team, and we are adding the people here at VSPC. So I feel like let's look at the strategic plan. Let's move forward with what we have in terms of the administration and the goals and the input of all of our contractors in driving VSPC. And your desire, Brian, of having a committee that is made up of hospitality members or members of the community who have input in the way of marketing, quite frankly, beyond what some of us do. I mean, as an elected official, it's background is not necessarily marketing. You know, my type of business is a small company and is not the same as a corporate and having a marketing experience. So I think the direction that we're going in VSPC is certainly a basis for now, but certainly understand what you're saying about, excuse me, let's take a look at the models, but I'm not ready to jump in and make a change is what I'm trying to say. I want to let this grow and see and be aware of what we can do in the meantime.
I never suggested jumping in.
Wasn't suggesting you were.
I wanted to have the discussion, so everybody was operating off the same page of information. Because, again, if you don't keep looking at new ideas and what's happening around you, pretty soon you just get left behind. Chuck?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm anxious to hear your take on specifically how the DMO model versus our CVB model might be better. I'm all ears. I think it's important that we discuss it. We certainly can't discuss it amongst ourselves, so we're handicapped. We have to discuss in this open forum. So this is now when we talk about it. First thing I looked at, which got my attention, we have such a great team. I couldn't be any more pleased with the work they've done. And I see these folks, let's pretend we approved it and we move forward tomorrow. They all are vested in county plans, retirement, et cetera. They would be forced to leave those plans and go into a private company. So you may have some input on how that perception might be wrong, because it very likely might be wrong. But that's the first thing that comes up to me is what about our existing staff that we are so fond of? The second is where the money goes that Phil brought up. Right now, our staff is limited by guidelines of what we can afford to pay. And we're going through, for instance, right now, interviewing folks for a chief marketing officer. And some of the candidates are coming to us from DMOs, but yet they're coming, so we are attracting that talent. And so they're not saying, I will only work for a DMO because I can make this much money. So the amount of money that we pay the staff now versus what we might, if I'll make up a bad example. Once again, I'm looking for your clarification when I get done speaking, but let's say we interviewed a chief marketing officer and they wanted $500,000 a year. Of course, that's an absurd amount, but let's use this for the example. Well, we simply can't pay that. We have guidelines that the county has given us. But maybe in the scenario of the DMO, maybe they could ask for what I might consider unreasonable as a TDC member, but the DMO says, no, that's what we need to get the perfect person in here. Now that takes away from my marketing dollars. So those things have me concerned with when the handcuffs come off. Oh, well, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to fly first class. I mean, I've never flown first class in my life, so I'm probably a bad example on that one. So, but regardless, there's plenty of people that have. But I don't think probably staff can buy those fancy tickets. But maybe in a DMO they can. So that, once again, that's such a minute example, but the point is still what controls all the costs, and maybe you can help us with that's some of the concerns that people have, and I think you can probably answer some of those concerns.
Again, I brought this up again now because we had so much time to kind of quote unquote kill before we were going to have lunch. But so a lot of those finite details are not coming right to the front of my brain. But one of the things I know is you don't lose control. What you want to make sure is that you have the right people in the right seats on your board. Because just like I'm not a marketing PR person, I am smart enough to know when I need one and then I reach out and hire the best person that I can for the amount of money that I know I can afford to pay. And so a lot of words that I hear from folks that have already spoken here today, or when I'm out and about talking about it, is, well, we'll lose control. Who has control? That control factor is all spelled out in your governing documents, just like they are now. The only difference is, instead of having an elected official at the helm or a county administrator who, by his very background, will admit that he isn't the PR or the marketing person either. He's a county administrator who has the best leadership qualities and knows government inside and out. But again, control should not be your biggest concern. We are dealing, after all, with semi-public money, and that's not going to go away because we are funded by the tourist tax. So you're always going to have county government, as far as I'm concerned, looking in, and clearly an organization that markets, for example, Disney World, was not worried about who was going to be in control, because that's the model that they're working under. Yes, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, these kind of ad hoc discussions are always good to listen to everybody's thoughts, but I think to review this in an effective manner, we probably need to have a special session of this council where we lay out, we're going to talk about compensation, we're going to talk about budgeting and funding, we're going to talk about employee benefits and retirement programs, so that we as an organization have an opportunity to hear topic by topic what would change and what wouldn't change, and the benefits thereof. Again, these ad hoc discussions are great, but it doesn't advance the effort.
Okay, but let me share one very important part with you that Tony, my Tony, just made me aware of. The notion that the public-private model has less oversight than a county department is simply not true. It is overseen directly by a board of directors composed of industry business experts. The current model is overseen by county administration. The TDC is merely an advisory board. These are structural issues that cannot be resolved in the current setup. In the public-private model, industry leads the organization directly, since it is their self-imposed tax that is being spent. The bed tax is self-imposed tax instituted by the hospitality industry for its own promotion and marketing. Not one ad valorem tax dollar is spent by Visit St. Pete Clearwater. In fact, it pays Pinellas County for all of its organizational needs, from legal to payroll, insurance, and et cetera. And this document that I'm reading from has also been shared with all of you, and it clearly spells out those issues that would be different under a public-private model than the county one that exists today. I'm not saying we're not successful. I'm just asking you to look at what's going on around you. On top of the comments that I've just made about the board taking on additional responsibility in ensuring that everything is going the way it should, the Florida statutes lay out in tremendous detail how the funds are to be used. It's the operating Bible of the CVB around the state. The addition of county policies and procedures on top of that state statute is not necessary and serves as a competitive disadvantage. I think those things are really important for us to be considering moving forward. You may not think it's important today, but the one thing here that you might all be able to relate to is that the former Visit St. Pete Clearwater Director, D.T. Minnick, and I know you were on the board when D.T. was here, weren't you, Russ? Anybody else? And you were as well. He was hired away by Osceola County to change their CVB from a county department to a public-private partnership, which was completed in 6 months. They have outperformed their competitor, which is Orlando, and he has shared that roadmap with us. That's the one that I've just been talking about. This is really entirely doable. And it goes on. So, those are just a couple points. Phil?
We're going to go back a little ways. I'm going to ask to draw on Russ's history. Before I became a member of the TDC, I served on a Discover Florida Suncoast. Discover Florida Suncoast was the direct sales private partnership, I believe, for the TDC. And I think the main purpose of DFS was that county government and dollars couldn't be used to entertain potential agents and potential visitors to the area. Like I said, I'm going to draw on Russ because he'd probably know better how it was structured. But and once somehow you couldn't buy a drink for a travel agent because that was against government rules. And I think somehow that changed, and we were able to move they sunsetted DFS and moved the direct sales arm into the TDC that we know now, and then in the Convention and Visitors Bureau. But I don't know, Russ, if you can comment on that. I served on that board, but I'm not sure why it was separated in the first place. I think that's what it was, or part of it anyway. And
I'll give you a little history that I can remember. We're talking about 1978 when we passed it in Pinellas County to have the taxes on industry of hotel rentals. And it was 2%. And it started with like 2 or 3 counties. Miami and Jacksonville had a tax prior to that. And they still have a special cases for them, how they operate. And it was the commissioner at that time was a 5-person board. And it was felt that we should not be paying for alcohol and the liability of that era of time. And so we created Discover Florida Suncoast. I was the chairman of that. And the fellow hoteliers were on the other TDC board. It was very forward in what we did. It was exactly the same as what we do today, except it was private. And that went till about 91, 92, I believe, is when it was brought back in. The desire was to bring it back in as one group versus 2 groups. I joined the TDC in '86. And that was a very controversial time in the '80s and into the '90s because of baseball and how much we were paying for it and the tax on that. And so that was all part of that. I also in the '80s, I spent 7 years to create Visit Florida from the state level. And so that was kind of the way we went for the state. It was very closed in politically, more so than we are here now. As far as us with the organization we have now, as we've gone over the years, I would say the Board of County Commission has really appreciated tourism and the value of it and the economic values and have gone along with us. I think one of the best things we did to protect our industry is the 60-40 that we negotiated and came up with a few years back. So as we went forward, some of the big counties went to the private public, and we stayed the way we are on it because I think partially because the Board of County Commission would listen and give us those things and go back for budgets and increases or reserves. I mean, we used to worry about a reserve to get it above 5%. We were trying to get to 10%. And now we got, what, $100 million type of thing. So I think that we need to look at that. We need to look at privatization or not. We need to look at, as we go forward in the next year or 2 years with Brian, I think there's great communication that we have today with our president here on my left and the administrator and the Board of County Commission that we have not had in a long time. We did not have that with Steve, we did with David or DT. They were great marketing people and all. And this is the first time we've had this administration where the cooperation, the things that he's involved in. And so I just think that we need to be looking at that way and how we go forward. Yeah, I think there's going to be a question. I think tourism is we're going to fight rates, and I can't say any more than that, but I think we're going to occupancy. We need to make sure we're adapting to the bigger hotels that are coming. St. Pete downtown is really coming on to more hotels and a bigger tax collection too. And so all those things look at how we change. And I think the part that our chair brought up, I think we need to look at, do we change what things part we can do, or should we do the whole thing? Or what those things are we're missing that we can look back at the Board of County Commissioners and say, we need to be adapting these pieces. It's kind of a question of all the different ones. And Mike said, maybe we should have a meeting led by an outsider for us to help look at all these different venues that we need to address the next 5-10 years. I've done hotels for over 50 years in Clearwater. When we started out, we would go to the city of Clearwater, the Chamber of Commerce, when we begged for $100,000 to take care of inquiries. And that's how the statute started with this tax. We had to say, what can we put the tax on ourselves? Yet hoteliers and us in the industry, we still need to protect our businesses and promote and market. Restaurants and all the other ones live off of our economics that we bring in, and then it takes all of us to make it happen. So we may bring in the tax dollars to make it happen, but we need them and everybody in industry and public and private to make it all happen. So it's a question of sitting down and looking at what pieces and all that, not just one side or stay the other way we are. And I think we got an administrator that we could do that with now with Brian. So that's just my piece and looking at. We've kind of gone through this once before, and I can tell you that I can't even remember when it was, but county administrators, not county administrators, elected officials don't necessarily like to give up the control they have on you. And that has to be what happens too. So there has to be a plan in that whole area to say what happens. And I'm not sure that would happen or not. We're going through different political parties and everything in Pinellas County. And I think that would have to be looked at, but we have to have one hell of a good plan in order to convince them of doing that. That's just a few different thoughts where we are, and I think you need to sit down and have an agenda and look at, as Mike says, the big picture and how we take out those different pieces.
There may be it comes to mind, and I'm not sure if this is the right term or not. Our TDC tax collections, would it be appropriate to call it an enterprise fund? It's not general tax revenues. It's not the general fund. It's a specific collection on a specific industry, and then we turn around and run the TDC like a government entity. But if it was an enterprise, I think that's the right term, enterprise fund. In other words, this is an industry collection for the promotion of that industry, and maybe we could come up with a new approach, not a public-private partnership, not TDC as this government entity, but an enterprise fund that is, those dollars are collected by that industry, for that industry, and used back toward that industry. And maybe we can move to a model that shows that it's not necessarily just a government body and has to follow these different salary levels and these different protocols that a normal general fund project or department would have to follow. So we'd have a hybrid in between a private-public partnership and what is now the TDC, which is a government-run operation. If enterprise fund change the rules of, and have a new set of rules for that type of operation, and we could get the benefits of the public-private and still have the oversight that the county would like to see.
One of the reasons, Phil, that I don't have those same concerns that you do is because very specifically in this 2-page document, which I also have sent to all of you, is a roadmap for how you move from where we are now to the public-private partnership. And very clearly, it says that you would need, I was just reading that, you would need the agreement from county government, the TDC, and the industry to move in that direction. So your governing documents would include all 3 of those organizations. And I also think that it's interesting to note that our organization is the only one in the state of Florida, is the only county that is still operating the way we are. Visit Tampa Bay, Kissimmee, Orlando, and Miami all operate successfully as public-private organizations that answer directly to the industry. Palm Beach County is in the process of transitioning right now. It's not an experiment. This has become the standard best practice for today's destination marketing organizations. I could go on, but again, you can see just from this very brief conversation, there's a lot of detail and information that none of you all have collectively. And I think in order to move forward, you all need to be operating from the same amount of information, not just snippets here and there. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we schedule an ad hoc meeting to address this topic, that we empanel a committee that will determine the agenda for that meeting and be prepared to present specifics on both sides of how this will work and what challenges we may face if we decide to move in that direction.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes.
Mike, I really respect you, and I appreciate what you're trying to do just to move this forward. But I'm personally not ready to put our staff through all of that work before we have a much deeper dialogue. And
Maybe that's, and then, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Julie.
I just mean,
Yeah.
I think we can have the special meeting that was mentioned, but I don't think we want to go as far. I think that would be step 2. I think step 1 is let's
Your
have
point.
some open dialogue. I would like to hear from our staff, pros and cons, as they see it. Yes, it is our discussion, but I think we would need that weigh in and.
But that's what he's asking for.
No, what he's
Yeah, no.
asking for
Well-
is an ad hoc committee to determine what we're going to discuss, is what you said. So that's,
Yeah.
I'd
and-
just
and
rather have a workshop that,
Perhaps I misspoke.
okay.
I think we need to have dialogue. This spontaneous dialogue that we're having today is very good, but I think we need to have a little bit of structure to say, here are some specific areas that need to be discussed. Compensation, the HR aspect of it, the budgeting, the funding, all of those questions that any of us may have, and have a dialogue about it. No decisions would be made at that meeting. This is really fact-finding based on the research that you have already done. We may decide that we don't want to change, but let's have the dialogue about it. That's all I'm suggesting. That was the purpose of my motion.
And that's all I've ever really wanted to do, was have the conversation. Did you have something, Clyde?
Yes, please, thank you. I agree with Mike that we need to either as part of one of our regular meetings or additional meeting, I just think we need to have all the right players in that meeting. You mentioned the county manager is not necessarily on board with looking at this or moving forward with it. Would love to hear why from him. Would love to hear from the staff, either directly or confidentially, if they prefer, of how, you know, the team that Brian is leading right now, how they feel about it, what they're afraid of or looking forward to, one way or the other. Would love to have a DT Minnick, but I think we need someone from a beach community also that's gone through this, because Osceola is very different than Pinellas. Just get the right players in the room for a meeting and really be able to hear and talk to them.
I agree.
So do we call the vote for the motion?
Well, I don't know, is there any more discussion? Brian, do you have anything to add?
I would also second Mike's motion.
So I personally don't think we need a motion. I think that giving direction and asking for this information and getting together for a workshop, so to speak, with more qualified information would be sufficient. My question would be to certainly bring to the table for the discussion the source of the material that's in the white paper. In other words, it's a very good opinion piece, and Tony, I know, worked closely with you to put all that together, but maybe where'd the roadmap come from, and where are these other communities and direction that they had? And Clyde, to your point, you know, DT was here when he left to go to Osceola. He was from Lee County and Fort Myers prior to that, so he has plenty of beach experience. You know, maybe he is a source of someone that could be referred to as maybe not an expert, but, you know, giving us direction. But that, to me, would be up to the staff and legal, and who could they bring in that would be most qualified maybe to help us dig through that. So that's my opinion. I don't think we need a motion at this point, and I agree that we don't want to create a machine that's going to take up a tremendous amount of staff time, because I think we're moving forward with getting these new staff members, getting geared up, going into our new enthusiastic approach to what we're doing, and I don't want to slow down the momentum of the staff and VSPC. I don't want to overburden. So if there's a way we can balance that all out, I think it's a good idea to
So
move
what
forward.
about this idea? This document that I alluded to that says public versus private, determining the best DMO structure for your community. This is a document that we received that came from the Florida Association of Destination Marketing Organizations. It's not something I just made up on a whim. But I do think it might be informative if I ask Kevin Knutson, could you come to the microphone, please? Because this is the person, Clyde, that represents county admin on this board. He works directly for Barry Burton. And I also happen to know that in a former life, he was part of an organization like this. Did I get that wrong, Kevin?
No, I did work with Visit Reno Sparks.
Visit
Reno Sparks when I was in
Reno, Nevada. Okay, so, do you have any thoughts on our conversation?
Well, as I've said, Kevin Knutson, Assistant County Administrator, I apologize. As I've said in the past, I think that this is an important thing for us to look at, and I know the County Administrator wants us to do more research on this as well. He's given me instruction to work with Brian on that so that we can come back to you with what the pros and cons of this are, what it would mean to make this change, what the impacts would be on staff and on the organization, and how the structure would go together. And I know Brian's been working on that diligently. We don't have anything to share with you today, unfortunately. But I do think that having a meeting later where we bring this to you and have a more open discussion would be very productive.
Perfect. Is that good? Everybody think that's okay? Yes, 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 yes.
Madam Chair, I'd also chime in. If you'll recall, at the last month's meeting, we had this conversation, and that conversation ended with this board directing me to look into these two models and do some research and then bring back information. So that's exactly what I've been doing. That's what I'll continue to do. So I just want to make that clear that I am concerned if we're looking to expedite something, because what we're talking about doing is bringing forward a proposal to create an entire new organization from top to bottom and everything that that entails. And we've got a lot on our plate right now. And I'm looking into that, doing the research, talking to the folks that have been mentioned today. But I am concerned if I have to drop everything that we've got going on and focus my energy on bringing that type of proposal that I think we may be looking for, that I would certainly want to provide when we have that discussion. So I'm not trying to, punt this. And I agree, we do have to have a formatted discussion on this with an agenda that outlines what we do, who provides our HR, and how do we do insurance, and how do we do payroll, everything from the top to the bottom that I'm learning about now. So take that for what it's worth.
Mike?
Yeah, Brian, listen, I respect that, and I don't think anyone, certainly not me, I'm not suggesting that this is a rushed decision or a rushed discussion. To your point, there are so many aspects of it that need to be reviewed in detail for us to fully understand the consequence of our decision. So, if this takes 6 months to fully vet, debate, and understand the impact of that decision, so be it. I was just trying to suggest we move it along in a structured manner, so it's not just spontaneous ad hoc discussions.
Kevin?
Madam Chair, thank you. I did want to make one more comment, and that is when you did all the research and provided that to us earlier this year, we looked at what some of the pros were that could come out of this change and tried to find things that we could do today to gain some of that, like put together a marketing committee that Brian and his team are working on. Because we recognize that there's things that we haven't been doing that could be a positive from this change, and we're trying to get that as immediately as possible. So even though we may not have all the answers on what that looks like, we're going to try and make incremental progress towards getting those new ways of thinking put into place right away.
Perfect. Great answer. Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Well, this was very healthy and positive, I think. Oh, getting the evil eye over here. Okay. So, you what?
I removed my motion.
In the back setting up.
I did, one last comment.
Yes.
While we were talking, I did pull up those documents, and it is a pretty good foundation to start with.
It what?
It's a pretty good foundation to start with. There are, those two documents, I pulled them up from my emails or whatever and reread them. And there are a lot of good talking points in there. And it's a great starting point, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I look forward to watching you all from afar. I've enjoyed this year, and I wish you a very merry, Merry Christmas, joyous and filled with lots of happy memories, and a prosperous new year. And enjoy your lunch.